When it comes to abortion, there's a big story happening here in the UK, but which is also relevant around the globe when it comes to the push for full-term abortions. There was a woman named Carla Foster who was 34 weeks pregnant, which if you've ever seen a baby born 6 weeks before its due date, looks like this. And at this late stage in her pregnancy, just a couple of weeks before what is considered to be full term, she decided that she no longer wanted to have that baby, and the healthy girl growing inside of her, named Lily, would have to die. Now, the legal abortion limit in the UK is 24 weeks, and any abortions carried out after 10 weeks must be carried out in a clinic. So she got in touch with the British Pregnancy Advice Service, and after a brief chat in which she lied about her due date, they merrily sent her some pills which can poison a child to death. They didn't say go to a clinic, they didn't check any details with a doctor, they simply said here you go, which, call me a stick in the mud, seems slightly reckless. She took these pills and the 34-week-old baby, Lily, died. Now, of course, what went on here was against British law. She took these pills too late, and not 10 minutes too late, 10 weeks too late. And so just this week she was sentenced to jail for intentionally ending the life of a perfectly healthy, viable child supported by a reckless and negligent charity. Now, in spite of that fact, she got merely a 28-month sentence, 14 of which has already been spent in custody, meaning that she only has 14 left. She'll be out in under a year realistically. Now, if we were to apply the logic of the law, which says that abortion is not permitted after 24 weeks, then we would see that this baby really should have full human rights from after that point, and this would be murder, right? And that being the case, merely spending a couple of years in jail seems quite short for, infanticide. For instance, if someone else had slipped her one of these pills unbeknownst to her, Lily would still have died, but they would have been done for murder. But if a mother does it, it's merely a minor infraction. And so quite rightly, every major media outlet and lots of politicians, and even BPAS themselves, are saying that this is outrageous, which is correct. But oh wait, hold on a second. They're not outraged because she went to jail for too short a time. They're outraged because she went to jail at all. Now, to be fair to them, once you deny the humanity of a child in the womb, there's no logical reason to consider it a human at 24 weeks or 34 weeks or really at any point at all up until the moment it comes out of the birth canal. And so now we are seeing that logic play out. We are seeing a full court press for full-term abortion in the UK.
Answer the question. I'm 8 months pregnant. I've decided I've changed my mind. I don't want to have my baby. My baby is perfectly viable. It's kicking, moving inside me. Do I have the right, because it's just healthcare, to abort my baby and face no criminal repercussions? Yes or no?
Yes, and you should not face criminal repercussions.
Remember, Lily was 34 weeks old. 36 weeks is considered full term. You cannot really get much later. And I would say that this has always been the goal of pro-abortion activists, but that's not fair. Some of them, like Peter Singer, the famous pro-abortion ethicist from Princeton, reckon that because children when they're born are not super self-aware and don't have hopes and dreams of the future, you could really abort them up until 2 years old. And what we are seeing here is the strategy that will lead us to full-term abortion. Laws will be set with some sort of arbitrary number of weeks based on nothing at all, and then whenever anybody is penalised for breaking that law, we'll all clutch our pearls and say, how dare you? Now, a couple of things we need to note here. Firstly, this is not about what is best for the woman. In one sense, I feel sorry for this lady. She has been let down. She has said very openly that she sees the face of this child in her mind, that she cannot sleep thinking about it, which is exactly what you would expect to happen if you do this to your child. And of course, pregnancy can be a difficult time. There is legitimate medical and social support that can and should be offered to women who are struggling during pregnancy. But do you think that BPAS did that? Do you think that they offered any meaningful support? Do you think they said anything about the potential mental health costs of aborting a child? Do you think they talked about financial options that were available or anything like that at all? No, that's not what they did at all. They said, here's the pills, please kill your child as quickly as possible. Their name is a lie. They do not provide pregnancy advice. They provide advice on how to kill your child before it is born and the deadly toxins to do so. And the idea that it's only about what's best for the woman is stupid anyway, because the woman is not the only person here. The baby is another person, and we don't allow people to do what is best for them when it involves, say, the killing of a nearly full-term child. It might be best for me to, say, shoot my neighbours so I could send my children to go and live in their empty house so they don't make any noise and interrupt my videos. But that would still be wrong. Secondly, this blows the viability argument out of the water. One of the big pro-abortion arguments is that abortion should be allowed up until the time that the baby can survive outside of the mother's womb on its own. The reality is that this baby could quite easily have survived. A 34-week-old baby in the womb has a 95% survival rate outside of the womb. She's going to have to give birth to it anyway. In fact, her delivery is going to be much more difficult because the baby is actively involved in that. Why not simply give birth to the live baby and then at the very worst give it up for adoption? There's of course a simple reason why you can't do that. It is because it would acknowledge the humanity of the baby. Now of course the viability argument is also stupid anyway, because what it says is that the value of human life is linked to the level of dependence. If you've noticed babies outside of the womb, they're not super independent anyway. Do we consider people who are more dependent, children, the elderly, the infirm, the disabled, do we consider them to have less value as humans? Not at all. Why should we do so for the unborn? Scientifically, the baby in the womb is a distinct human life. It's definitely human. It's not a dog, not a lizard, not an elephant. It's a human, and it is very much alive. So abortion ends the life of a human, and its level of dependence on the mother or the desires of the mother should not give us permission to do that. Human life begins at conception, it ends at death. Ending the life of someone who is innocent in between those times for no reason is absolutely murder and should be treated as such. Now, this is not a message of condemnation. There is good news for those of you who have done this and you might be offended by what I'm saying. Jesus was murdered for your murder. Jesus died a death for the death that you have inflicted. It is not the unforgivable sin, but it is a sin nonetheless, and it is a sin that needs to be forgiven, and it's also the kind of sin that we should not allow as a society. However, it does seem that people have discovered a tactic to push that sin further in our society. I think that full-term abortion is quite likely to pass, and unfortunately millions of other children, such as Lily Foster, will die as a result. And to that I say, God have mercy. God forgive us. God send revival. God protect our children. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to help beat the algorithm, which does not like this kind of content, if you're on YouTube, you can like and subscribe and definitely comment. That really helps. If you're on Twitter, you can like, you can retweet. And if you'd like to support a great organisation in that area, I'd like to promote the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children. Please do check them out. You can support the channel through Patreon or by buying something on wearecontramundum.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, this next video talks about something else which is a very serious threat to children in our nation.